I'm going to go ahead and just be the one to say he said some stuff earlier here that's important to what he's about to say right now.
Now, you never actually see it in both states at once.
I'm going to stop. Again, when you think about it from a teacher's perspective or from K through 12 perspective, nobody's going to really itemize it all there to a dot plot, then adjust that EBITDA to inflation and the rollout that a tech curve issue inside of there as well. But there you go, itemized to the school. It looks done. NP, it's pretty close. All that's for nothing, Magneto. Eventually, they're gonna put out a new car or a new rocket ship or a new cell phone, anyways. Even if it is still within cell phone, it's still a signal. It's a transistor to a certain degree. But more realistically to that, let me show you what I kind of caught here for what this is. And I might have to read it out to you because, well, just because. Oh, I broke it. I haven't broke it yet. Okay, so Zeno's paradox. I got introduction to child development. Again, this is the reality. There's somewhere between this. As this plays out, you'll get that M1, M2, Mn from a baby infant, a mustard seed plant, a mustard sprout, and a full-on flowered and seeded, harvested, full cycle mustard plant is the fx of wave function x. There's wavelets that define a frequency, and there are wavelets that define the frequency, but essentially there's a larger DMA coming from this than there would be any other which way about it. So algebraically or ultra relativistically speaking. But let me show you what it looks like, what I got for you here. Not just highly suspect and Kennedy with this, but there's a real nasty little issue when you get into this about what the IMA daycare program is for the... I was having some fun with the quantum field theory expert here. Some landscapers and hardscapers and stuff that just, the stuff you leave on the table. I'm not saying my Master Mason videos are all the best in the world. What the hell happened to it? I should have had it somewhere around here. Ah, yeah. So this is the basic town, the basic 50 stars on the flag that you need. It's a high school, or an elementary school, and a high school. Daycare is actually somewhere down in here in the blue. Do you really, or in the green? Do you really need it as a blue site, police station? Well, operating systems are weird, right? So when you're programming something and you ever watch Ben Eater do it, or 3B, 1B, or Ben Eater do it, they'll actually start with some other point and then come back and rewrite something and then do something. Well, the police stations, schools, the hospital, the fire EMT, and other things, I kind of condensed them in FX for the police station again, but that'll eventually get into these pages. Like, this is the write out, this is the drawing of the fire station, this is, or the police station, this is the fire station. If you ever had to do the main page for the audit and then go through it, that's how you do the next page, and that's how you do the next page in that order until you've ran it all out, where a comment section ate up a bunch of that volume. So it's not really done, and it is really done. And between that, in which you'll get into a lot of these works for carpentry, studies, practices, everywhere else, that not just that this M1, but I want you to look at this specific M1. Here we have what is a description of an IMA daycare facility, and this one would be the overarching model. This is like CERN or whatever it would be for that map in Hancock, and I don't care about what building we had. I mowed it down and then I rebuilt an actual structural building that is designed to handle kids, up to 10 kids all the time, 3 shifts, but the kids will be there 24/7, 365 for a year if the parents so should let them go to a private school like that. But that's not necessarily the intention. More about that I have a unit that could handle some kids in daycare. More of a, this isn't school yet. That's where things are going to break off, and I didn't quite have room to cover it. So again, another issue I'll have to topic before I can move on to the next issue, the police station, fire, and EMT, is that I got to cover the school system, seeing that everything is daycare again. That one daycare is going to look like that master stonemasonry instead of an out in the field stonemasonry camp, what is the IMAB daycare center. Now, if we look at the staff here, underneath that technical fancy write-out, trying to make it sound up pretty good, it's a node for emergency situations. It has the standard for parents that need a license to do it, right? You'd go there, try to learn something from a main headquarters like this. They might even have an offshoot for the read technique. And I know this wasn't written into there, but I've also haven't got my drawing done yet, so bear with me. But you'll see a director and oversight. That's not me. I'm going for Gunny, director of information technology anyway, so I don't mind one of the ladies or an OBGYN or some teacher getting a hold of that. And especially in this part, but you don't know that that's infants yet. We don't know that that's the infant to a year-old, or a 1-year-old to a 3-year-old, or a 3-year-old to a 5-year-old, where a 5-year-old will start kindergarten, and some different baby stuff. That's a really important phase in developmental psychology, not just for a kid, but for a mustard seed plant, or heaven forbid the marijuana, right? They are a Zeno's paradox about this quantum high and low that anything could have in there, not only to itself, but against other kids in the room. So not only is it that, but inside of here it can be that 1AB666 militia 2A standard. Because what I have is a house. Parents can have kids. But was it vetted for a CPI standard? First evaluation, CPI is not going to say nothing. They're not knocking on your door about the improper overhanging position of your toilet paper. We're looking for poisoning. We're looking for things, and not just to necessarily bag you and shut you down. That might be a population issue thing with drill sergeants about how you vet the standards. But there's an original hardline standard for that, and that would be like CPI. And that is to say, you did pass, but we just don't need you for right now. You have certifications, but you may not have the blessings from the IMA director over here because we don't have enough children. It's great that you got the qualifications, and I'll happily certify you, but right now, to make you into that way certified as a 1A or IMAB standard, especially in something like the infant or the 1 to 3-year-old range, or the 3 to 5-year-old range when they really need babysitting. And this is, for me, something I kept over the 21 marker. As much as I like 16-year-olds and stuff doing it for the parents, that's not something I'm trying to knock down. But I'm also trying to make sure that there's a public works department for something within the standards. Now, after schools and other things like that, that there might be another and or if flip-flop to that, an M4 before you get to the MN finish of that. That is the last number. That's how it defines that last state relative to its first state, which is, again, the infant, or a Zeno's paradox, where it's very different testing, range standards. Infants need bottles, warm cribs, not really much of an obstacle course. But M2s do, that these 2 to 5-year-olds, they need to start getting a lot more exercise. And when you get up to 5-year-olds, are you running around? Do they have a nap facility? What's your food like? Are you handling that the foods, allergies are a condition now that you would really have to focus that, other than baby formula or whatever the parents are going to say in there to you over that age. And equally developing through this. You don't necessarily have to get started with infants. Kind of at the Laplacian, it breaks down the other way. You would probably want to start with a 5-year-old. It's a weird glitch in here, and that's why I'm glad I left it with this K through 12. If you look at that, that's a weird little thing, isn't it? You just do 5 and 6-year-olds, and you do 6 and 7-year-olds, 7s and 8-year-olds, you get this really weird thing where by the time they're in 4th grade, they're already 14, or you have the potential to that. Now, again, I also added a little bit here, because you'll notice in this K through 5th grade, that's 5 units off of these 3 units, that there's this nice little interpretation between K and 1st grade, kind of like the infant and a year and 3 years, a year and 5 years. But you'll get into there, and that's where you might need to either, because of housing in the school, or because of their grades one way or another. I had a lot of students miss their qualifications last year. I don't want to necessarily make a bigger problem for here where a student that could do better. Now that's hard for something for the parent to believe and truly understand about the mathematical certainty that will come from CERN about something like that. But you got to be really solid about those dot plots. Remember, I'm not bringing this up to you like this. I'm pretty fairly decent with the quantum mechanics, so that's the way that'll go. It's not really going to get past 5 like this or 7, because what we did is directors, managers, some of these vetted RNs or trainee 21-year-old girls, or maybe even some guy in there. It's not something, especially in this daycare department, but you do need a security element inside of there, whether that's IMA in-house cops or your local militia program. And again, vetting F-35s for nukes isn't exactly something you need to easily do. You gotta pass that with Andy DeGriffith and anything else going down in Mayberry for that to really say it's prime. Right? If I got the best babysitters that I've had over there, they've never had an incident or any kind of kid standards, and that's when we got to go data mining what the IMA standards are going to make that something is a housed facility to then send people in. If they want qualifications for us, then that's what we need that node to do. But again, we don't necessarily have all the things. I know. Again, this is for some other stuff. We may not have exactly the footage we need, or because it's such a rural place and we're working to that development, where do we have to go pull that from in old Washington D.C. here to be able to thin it out and homogenize it a little bit better between I hat and J hat down here on 1 mile. Kids are born needing quantum mechanics, but